that's what it is. It's honey wine.
Yes.
You need honey, water, yeast, some acid balancing with some lemon, some tannins with tea, and you brew some mead.
Yeah. And it's something really exciting, a conversation I know I'm going to enjoy, a conversation I know that we're all going to appreciate because we are, raising awareness about these little creatures, right? So today on MYD Earth, we'll be discussing World Bee Day that's celebrated and observed every year on the 20th of May. And this day is all about raising awareness on the importance of bees, the threats that they face, and their contribution to sustainable development. And the Beekeeping Association of Namibia and partners will be hosting multiple events that's leading up to the 6th celebration of World Bee Day. So we are joined in studio by Gretchen Burmeister from the Beekeeping Association of Namibia. And we're also honored to have Dr. Lynn Hempelstone, a veterinarian from South Africa, who is also a judge at one of the events called the Honey and Mead Tasting. So they're joining us in studio to talk about these creatures and why they're so important and why we need to protect them and preserve them as well. So good morning, ladies, and thank you so much for joining us here at 99 FM.
Morning, thanks.
It's a pleasure to have you. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about, just a short background and aims and objectives of the Beekeeping Association of Namibia. Gretchen.
The Beekeeping Association is a entity that would like to get as much as possible support for the cause, to take everything in apiculture forward, everything in beekeeping. And we've got a daughter organization, Women for Bees, that also represents all the pollinators, all the different bee species and other pollinators.
Yes, it's important. And tell us about because I know there's going to be lots of events, to raise awareness about bees. Tell us about the events lined up for the day to celebrate World Bee Day.
Okay. I would like to just add something quickly before that. People don't understand why the emphasis is so much on bees. And we don't think about the acacias, all the cameel doring and felt that need pollination. We don't even think about that stuff. We know about pumpkins and food security, a little bit about the biodiversity that's important. But bees play the biggest role, about 80% of the role of pollinators. And in that, we can also just step back. The entire world need vegetation and plants, and of those plants, 80% needs insect pollination. So that is the main thing about the bees. So yes,
thank you for emphasizing that, because I was even just saying earlier, on the show that there was a bee actually in my room yesterday, and I freaked out. It was zooming there in the room, and so I was freaking out. And I remembered, Treza, don't kill it. Don't kill it, because we need bees. And that's also how I started, appreciating them more, because I know as much as they can be scary, they're also very, very important, to the human race. Let's talk about those events. We have a bunch of events happening, to celebrate these creatures. Talk to us about the events lined up to celebrate World Bee Day.
Last night we had the honey and versus adulterated honey and some judging of honeys. And then tomorrow at UNAM we will have a veterinary talk, but I will let Lynn elaborate on that.
Yes, let's let Lynn elaborate on that. Go ahead, Lynn, please do elaborate.
Hi.
Hi.
Firstly, thank you for being here, and a big thanks and shout out to our sponsor FNB for supporting Namibian Beekeeping Association of Namibia, and that I can be here. So, as a general outlook, the really wonderful experience taking into this National Week for Bees is creating allies between the South African bee industry, the Namibian bee industry. That's really, really important. And trying to link up, connect, join dots, help build, help grow on both sides. And my field is veterinary, and in South Africa, bees are under the Department of Agriculture and under supervision of veterinary services. So they aren't pests, they are protected animals. Our legislation is not perfect, we're getting there, but that's the overview. So one of the things in my veterinary field is I've been recording case studies of using honey in wound management. So I'm doing a scientific presentation tomorrow at UNAM on honey in wound management, retrospective case studies on trauma patients. But in addition to that, I've been assisting with judging a honey competition, lecturing on mead making.
What is mead? Can you
mead
please
is the
explain? Yes.
It's honey wine.
Okay.
It is fabulous.
Honey wine. I never heard of that.
It is totally fabulous.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's what it is. It's honey wine.
Yes.
You need honey, water, yeast, some acid balancing with
Yes.
some lemon,
Okay.
some tannins with tea, and you brew some mead.
Yeah.
And then you can get really, really creative with it. So, yeah, that's a whole conversation, but it's just another aspect of the honey industry and honey, bee products, mead. So working in those fields, I was involved in all of them.
Yeah,
so
that's beautiful.
Where the mead came in.
I learned something new now. I know what mead is now. If you're tuning in right now, we're joined in studio by two lovely ladies, and we're learning more about why it's important to raise awareness about bees. And we're going to continue this discussion right after the song. It's Cassidy Caron with Soft Life on 99 FM. We are discussing right now World Bee Day that is observed every year on the 20th of May. And we're joined in studio by Gretchen Burmeister from the Beekeeping Association of Namibia, as well as Dr. Lynn Heppelstone, a veterinarian from South Africa, who's also a judge at one of the events called the Honey and Mead Tasting. We'll learn more about that towards the end of the interview. But right now, I don't know if you knew this, but I just found out this right now, that there's also medicinal uses for honey, and Lynn is going to explain that for us. So Lynn, I didn't know that honey could be used for medicinal purposes.
Oh, very much so. It's a very, very specific and unique sugar, and it has very unique properties to it. Enzymes. It has profound antibacterial properties. It is hygroscopic. That's a big word for drawing water out of something. And if you put that all together, that is the essence of wound healing. When you ride your bicycle down the road and you fall off and you've got that lovely roasty that's oozing and sore, if you clean that up first with some water, and then if you put honey onto that, the hygroscopic property of honey draws that oozing away so that you don't have this soggy wound. And the combination of all of the proteins, the enzymes, the peptides, all of those components cover the antibacterial effect, the anti-inflammatory effect, and the sugar, the natural sugar in honey, it's a natural inverted sugar, quite a unique sugar, accelerates the body's own cells' capacity to heal faster.
Whoa.
Because mammalian cells will heal on the natural sugar inside a cell. The honey just makes that go faster.
Wow.
It accelerates that. And you have a very, very beautiful healing. You have a much softer, easier, smoother outcome than some jagged, miserable scar.
Yeah. So imagine if you have honey in your fridge or honey right now, don't just use it to put it in your coffee. If you have a wound, slap it on there, and it'll make it.
I am going to give
better.
you a huge warning there. Okay, the slap it on there part. Great idea, but please put it under a bandage. Otherwise, you're just going to attract every bee on your walk through the neighborhood.
So you have to cover it up. You have to cover it up.
Yes, please.
Yes. Don't just slap it on there like I just said.
Slap it on, but cover it up. Okay.
Cover it up. Gretchen, you also mentioned that Namibian bees are actually quite special. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. FNB sponsored us to take part in the Africa Epimondia, and we were able to get the latest of the latest information. Namibia has actually got 61 bee species that is nowhere to be found in the world.
Are you kidding me?
We've got over
That's so cool.
340 different kinds of bees.
Yeah.
But those ones have only been identified in Namibia. And that is so important for biodiversity. And you two just opened up with the rain. This is environmental stability and the biodiversity that we need.
Yeah.
For the plants, the rainfall, the temperature increases, and we as the driest country south of the Sahara need this more than
anything. Yeah. Wow, that's really a great fact to know. What other events can we look forward to leading up to World Bee Day?
So we did have another wonderful event yesterday evening. We had the first part of the honey competition yesterday afternoon. We have
we are going down to Swakopmund, and then we will continue the honey judging, and there will be another event.
Okay, and Swakopmund as well.
Yes.
Where can we find this? Is there a page we can follow on social media?
You can look at the web page. So that's also a very good connection point. Something else that I would like to mention is that we've got various initiatives going, like Adopt a Hive, where you can do a donation or adopt a hive.
Okay, so how does that work? You see, now the thing is, now you open that door, Gretchen.
Yes.
How do I adopt a hive? How does that work?
If you go to our webpage, you will see the different things. So people don't need to be a beekeeper to be part of the Beekeeping Association. But if we have your information, you are just counted as a supporter, and you would get information through a WhatsApp group or the various stuff like this week, what we are doing. And that is very supportive, because we can say, listen, there's this amount of people that is for the cause, and that helps us already, just in the sense of numbers. But then if people donate or participate, learn, advocate. To advocate is one of the most powerful things, and that is why World Bee Day was actually from the United Nations.
Yes.
Said, listen, we need to get this talk into the towns.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, before I let you go, I have one last question. I want to know about the honey and mead tasting competition, because I find that very interesting. I didn't know that mead was honey wine. So how does it taste? So you said it's amazing. You said it's delicious.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So the first thing to understand is that bees, when bees go feeding, we call that foraging. So bees will forage for about 5 kilometers radius. 5 Ks for that tiny little insect to go and pick up all of the nectar or pollens that they need to bring back to the hive to make honey. So they make their honey. Then you can imagine that depending on what they are foraging on, you're going to get different honeys.
Yes.
They're different colors, different flavors and tastes, different aromas. So you can already start to see how there's a sommelier aspect to that. It's incredible. You'll have a range of such a wide variety of honeys. We'll just extend that into mead. If you're going to be making wine out of honey, you're going to have a huge variety of different honey wines, different meads. So honey is the bee focus. Bees make honey.
Yes.
Mead is a person making an alcoholic drink using honey as its ingredient. But the tastes are going to be enormously variable. Similar to wine, they can be sweet, semi-sweet, or dry mead, depending on how much honey you put into the mead. Variations in flavors and tastes according to what yeast you use. How long you ferment for, how long you let it mature for. So it really is quite an artisanal, fun thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a really fun home brewing effort. Instead of ginger beer, go for mead.
You know, I can sit here and talk about bees because it's so interesting. It's so fascinating to learn about these creatures. I just want to say thank you to you, Gretchen, as well as you, Dr. Lynn, for coming through and sharing with us, you know, the importance of these creatures and why we need to protect and preserve them as well. It is World Bee Day, 20th of May. Do join the celebrations and, of course, join in the attempt to save these creatures and to protect them as best as we can. So again, Gretchen, Dr. Lynn, thank you so much for coming through and sharing with us about World Bee Day. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's, of course, Dr. Lynn Applestone, as well as Gretchen Burmeister from the Beekeeping Association of Namibia, just giving us the honey, not the tea, but the honey on why bees are important. The celebrations are on the 20th of May. Do keep an eye out also, like she mentioned, on their webpage and just also on socials for how you can join in celebrating these beautiful creatures. It's Treza in the AM, and we're getting back into the music with Division and Ty Dolla $ign, Dangerous City on 99 FM.